It is 7:04, and I'm calling the meeting of the November Development Review Board to order. We only have 4 members tonight, which means we do have a quorum. But if you choose to ask us to continue your case until we have more of a board, then you can feel welcome to do that. I'll talk about that some more later in my remarks. At the DRB, we hear applications for land development in the town of Brattleboro and appeals of zoning administrator decisions. Procedurally, the Development Review Board operates on the record. Broadly, this means that we take a clear record of testimony from the applicant and any interested parties, and then issue a written decision with our findings. Applicants and members of the public should be aware that as we are on the record, this is your opportunity to comment on and provide evidence relating to an application. Application materials and written testimony is posted to the town website as received. Hearings may be continued at the board's discretion if materially important documents are received after the submission deadline. In the event our decision is appealed to the environmental court, the court will not take or consider additional testimony at its hearing, but will look at evidence from our hearings, the regulations, and determine if the evidence supports the findings and decisions of this board. Only interested persons who participate in this proceeding may appeal a decision made by the board. So if you have something to say, I strongly urge all of you to speak up. As we are on the record, we are going to ask that you affirm that your testimony will be truthful. So any applicant or any person that's going to that thinks they're going to speak, please stand. Do we have anybody online who's going to possibly speak?
We have a Jenny L.
Yes, I'm here.
Are you planning to speak?
Yes.
Okay, please unmute yourself, and I hereby affirm that the evidence I give and the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalty of perjury. Please say I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Jenny, could we get your last name, please?
LaPlante.
Oh, okay.
LaPlante.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks.
Applicants require, I'm sorry, I should have told you to sit down. Applicants require a majority vote of the full board to succeed. That's 4 out of 7. If we don't have a full board present to hear your application, then we will consider a request to continue your application to the next public meeting. So if you feel as if while we're taking testimony, if you feel as if it might be better if you had more people here, or you would feel more comfortable if there was a larger board, you can just interrupt the proceeding and ask to have it continue.
I have a question. Then, in this case, would you have to be unanimous to approve something? Or do you just a majority of the 4 who are present?
It's 3 of the 4, right?
No, it has to be.
Has to be 4.
Just curious.
If there were more than the 4, if the whole board was here, would it have to be the majority?
You would have to have 4 votes.
Just 4 votes, and out of how many possible?
7.
Out of 7.
So absent board members can also review the record and view the video and have a vote afterwards, but so that's also an option. But You can get a sense of the board by the end of your hearing and ask if it
Yeah.
looks like it's going to be favorable, and then ask for a continuation otherwise.
After taking testimony, the board will close the public hearing and we may vote on your application. The board will issue a written decision within 45 days of the close of the hearing. While we may vote on an application, it is the written decision that controls the timeline for appeal. It should be noted that the town of Brattleboro is a party with an interest in land development applications. The town does not have a special status before this board. Documents provided to the board by the town planning department, town attorney, or other town departments will be considered in exactly the same way as information from the applicant and all other interested parties. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 20th, 2023? Are there any changes or corrections?
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. There's been a motion to, oh, it's Catherine. Is it Catherine? So we now have 5. There's a motion to approve the minutes of September 20th, 2023. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So that's 5-0. Brian?
Okay.
Was the meeting properly warned?
Yes, it was.
Does anybody have any conflicts of interest or ex parte communications that they want to disclose? No. Okay. Ms. Shay, you wanna come sit over there?
Sure.
You can bring whatever papers you have. Okay, this is 2023-121, Jennifer Shay, Historic Resource Overlay District, request for, that doesn't make any sense. Request to demolish a contributing structure in the Homestead Home Historic District. I know, but it says home.
Oh, okay.
Homestead Horton Historic District at 198 Canal Street. Okay, do you want to talk to us about your project?
Okay, so, basically, it's not financially feasible for me to repair that building. The documentation I submitted in terms of the estimates to repair were $548,000 to repair the building. From the insurance company, I got a total of $352, but 19 of that was for contents, not for the dwelling. That's, a difference of more than $200,000 that I don't have to be able to put into this building. In terms of its historic value, the thing I think that is of most historic value is the slate roof, which unfortunately is something that wouldn't be able to remain, as I've been told that the whole roof, including and the second floor, are gonna have to come off the building. I had purchased this property last December. And I did have a home inspection done before I purchased the property, and I was aware at that time that the foundation had issues. Trying to, repair something on top of an already not so stable foundation. There's a side that's bowing in and doesn't seem like something that is a good idea to me. And I'm not sure I'd be able to find a contractor that would do that. I know at least the two of you have spoken to in depth, you know, in the design review committee. I don't know what other questions anyone else may have or things. You know, I know that you had mentioned that you'd want to see a front porch and that is similar to, you know, in the setback from the road being similar in a new building. You know, I had mentioned the possibility of putting a multi-unit there, whereas that was a single family previously, which I believe that would benefit the community in providing more housing. What other questions can I answer for you or things that are outstanding?
So the rest of the board, there was a fire in last July. And the damage was, that the design review committee looked at anyway, was largely interior. But if you read the her initial inspection report at the time she bought the house, it talked about a place in the foundation that was bowing, and I'll be honest with you and say that the inspector seemed to feel that somebody, a qualified mason, could fix it.
Yep.
And as far as I know, the fire department has not condemned the building, is that true?
That is correct.
They specifically told me that they couldn't because they only look at multi-tenant structures. They could not provide me an evaluation on that building because it was a single-family structure. I asked them specifically too because they told me at the time of the fire that it is not inhabitable. And in terms of what I had provided with the Matterport report, it shows the structural damage to the roof and it shows all the burned timbers. It shows, you know, all of the damage to the house. The whole inside of the house would need to be gutted, as well as the second floor taken off and the roof taken off.
Members of the board have any questions?
So the proposal is to demolish the structure.
At this point, I want to demolish the structure because it has been a hotbed of crime. I've had so many break-ins there and people sleeping on the porch, people sleeping in the house. I've had the police there probably now at least 10 times. And you know, it's getting colder, there's going to be more people looking for shelter, and it's not safe for them to be in that house. You know, so I really wanted to have it demolished before winter for that point, and then maybe rebuild tomorrow, next year, something. I found out last week, unfortunately, that the contractor I had lined up sold all his equipment and retired. So I'm really not sure how quickly I could do this and if I would be able to do it before winter anyway at this point. But, you know, I'm from Jaffrey, New Hampshire. I bought that house for my son to live in. And, you know, I've gotten to know a lot of the neighbors and I don't want them to have to deal with, you know, the homeless people and the drug addicts that are breaking into the house and using it at, you know, squatting. It's not fair to them.
Right.
I just want to address that as a member of the public. I can step out of my, just as I live in that neighborhood as well and have experienced, there's a lot of squatting, empty buildings have been occupied. And one of them was actually burned in an arson. So it is an issue. And I was wondering if that was happening. So certainly other buildings in the similar circumstances, broken into, squatted, drug dealing.
One of the issues is that I'm wrestling with is this house is in a historic district, which requires that anything that gets rebuilt on that site meets certain criteria. And, it is on the National Register, which means that you have to follow the National Register guidelines. They have a book you can get. And also technically, we're not supposed to approve a demolition if we don't have plans as to what's gonna go there once it's demolished. I believe that's true,
Because it's a historical structure?
yeah. Because it's in a historic district. So I think we could approve the demolition with certain restrictions and require that you come back with architectural plans.
Previous to the demolition? We had discussed this, last week at the DRC a bit. The application, you could apply for demolition or demolition and the rebuild on the application. I'd only checked off to do the demolition. I wasn't aware that you would require the architectural plans to,
Well, we need to know, what does it say? Did you quote that section in your staff memo? I can't remember. I was just reading it.
There is a section from the land use regulations that discusses how the DRB needs to take up a request for demolition if the structure's on the NRHP. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
So that's the 129C. I can put that on the screen of that.
Yeah, redevelopment plan.
So this property, say that it were to be demolished, would you intend to rebuild a structure there?
that was my intention up until last week when my contractor retired. So I'm really not sure at this point. That has been my intention, and that probably is still going to be my intention. I'm just going to have to find somebody else and figure something else out. Although, I've also had the thought of just demolishing it and leaving a clean lot, or I've even considered like giving it to the town and saying, can you put a community garden there or something? Because even doing that, I would lose less money than rebuilding, something there possibly. Because the other thing I have to look at is the property values in that area. I bought that house for $135,000. I built something new there and I put $350,000 to $450,000 into it. I'm never going to get it back in that area. you know, it definitely was my intention fully to rebuild until I got that news last week. And now I've been trying to consider other options as well. But I know just leaving it there is not a good option because it is just such a crime magnet.
And there's an option that you could sell the property, right?
Yes,
Potentially,
I
no.
could potentially sell the property as is, but here again, I had a property management company from Virginia that the guy, I guess, used to live in Bellows Falls and do real estate up here in Bellows Falls. And he offered me $35,000 for it until he had somebody actually go look at it. And then they reneged their offer. So, I don't know if it would possibly, what I could sell it for as is.
And it's a tricky situation, and
Yeah.
I think we all feel for the suffering that you're going through with this. I think one of the problems is that we have to overcome is that since you could sell the property, it's hard to give an exemption that you would need, which would be the financial hardship exemption, right? That in order to prove financial hardship, you would have to prove that you weren't in a position to sell the property. And that you would have to, then all these other financial burdens would be on you to either rebuild or to maintain the structure and all of the liability that occurs.
Well, to repair it would end up costing me, pretty much the $548,000 to repair it. The insurance company only gave me, say, $330 because it was $352 minus 19, so $333 for the dwelling, for the structure. So, the financial hardship there, if I was try to repair it, I'd need another $200,000 that I just don't have.
And why? And it's a nice house, but a newer house would be better there maybe.
Right.
So it's kind of a separate situation, but generally if a structure has been damaged by fire, the owner is obligated to bring it into a state of safe repair. And when that's just not possible, like Elizabeth Garage recently had an arson attack on it, I just issue a permit for demolition because there's no chance of rebuilding. So the board can consider whether it can be brought into a safe condition rapidly, and if it cannot, and it's a threat to public safety, perhaps do the demolition under those provisions, as they would supersede the historic district regulations.
We might still need a
A plan.
plan, even if it was just an empty lot though, right?
I think you need a plan before it was redeveloped, but if it's in an unsafe condition and a threat to public health and safety, then demolition is a pretty reasonable way forward, and it would take precedence over the historic regulations. Then, of course, hopefully it would be redeveloped rapidly, and at that point you would need to have the new development reviewed and approved.
Seems like that the public safety issue meets the second criteria that we defined, that it provides clear and substantial community benefits to have in this case, not a structure there.
Any demolition that we approve would have to include salvage of things like the slates. Not that you would necessarily use them, but they have to be salvaged so that they could be reused. And you talked about a window.
Yeah, I wanted to take the window that was on the side that had the glass, and I wanted to take it out and put it into whatever structure got built there. And also, I've been digging up the perennial beds and taking the perennials to save them, and I was planning on putting them back because the equipment needed to get in there to do the demolition would go right over those flower beds on the side. And those perennial beds, probably hundreds of years old, who knows? And those perennials in there that I've never seen before. So, you know, I dug up so much stuff out of that yard. I planted it at my house for now in my back flower bed where I just have a temporary place for them so I can put them back. You know, they should be put back there. They belong there.
But whoever demolishes the house, if we decide
Yeah,
to do that,
should do some extent of recovery of that. It's, you know, the place in, I think, Walpole that does slate roofs still. I've tried calling them several times. Also, you know, Tanner, who was with me at my last two meetings with you guys, he's tried calling them and haven't gotten through. I don't know who else in the area would be interested in recovering the slate.
there are, there's Phoenix Roofing, and there's some guy who Robin knows.
So if you set a condition, I think it should have somehow for feasibility. We can certainly reference a number of people who do salvage.
Yeah.
If it's feasible, it's feasible. If it's not.
Yeah, I don't know
I
what's,
mean, I'm happy to have stuff salvaged and reused, definitely, if it, you know, if I can find a contractor that's gonna do it and do it reasonably priced also, you know.
well, I think that's one of the requirements for demolishing a historic structure, that whatever can be, anything that can be salvaged is salvaged.
Does the rest of the board have any questions?
Allison?
No, I'm all set. I think the public safety issue sounds pretty serious.
Catherine?
No, I agree. I mean, if what she says is true about, you know, it becoming a place for people to hang out and live, then it should be, and it's not a safe structure, yes, it should probably come down.
Another fire.
Yeah, right.
Does anybody in the public want to say anything? Okay.
In terms of the slate and recovering the slate from the roof, the other issue would be safety for anybody to go up and do that, because the whole underneath of the roof is burnt. It's almost like the slate kept the fire in the house. It's interesting the way it happened, because the whole underside of the roof is burnt.
We saw the
Well,
pictures.
Yeah. What needs, you just need to salvage anything that can be salvaged.
So possible language would be retrieve historic materials to the maximum extent feasible. And of course, safety is a feasibility issue.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah, I think you could rely on the professional judgment of any contractor as to what would be safe or not.
Yeah, I personally want, you know, to take all of the solid wood doorknobs.
Good.
I love them.
Take them.
You know, there are many, you know, features of that house that are beautiful, that, you know, are the whole reason that I bought the house.
Yeah, so you should salvage whatever can be salvaged.
Yeah.
And I think the other condition we have to have is that once it's salvaged, once it's demolished, we need to see some architectural plans and approve the
Approve the plans
whatever's
before
gonna
some-
be reconstructed. And you understand that has to have the same, it should have
Same
the same
footprint.
footprint, same setback.
Same footprint, same setback.
It can be 2 stories though, instead of the 1.5.
You can extend further back into the lot though, right?
What?
It could extend further back into the lot.
Sure. Yeah, in the back, yeah.
Yeah, so a larger footprint, but
The front setback should be the same.
yeah.
I think the zoning district actually allows for 3, maybe 4 with waiver floors as well, so whether that's historically appropriate is different, but.
At least 2.
But
It might
You can do at
depend on
least
the
two.
design.
you can do at
Yeah.
least 2.
If it was 3 stories and they approved the design because it looked like it fit in the neighborhood historically.
Yeah. So, do you have a motion? Did anybody write all this down?
I
And
did.
can make a motion?
All right. So I'll make a motion that the property at
198.
198 Canal Street can be demolished with the consideration that anything that is feasibly salvageable is salvaged, and that architectural plans be presented to the board at the time of redevelopment. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, it actually go before DRC first. right?
DRC first, yeah.
Yeah, and then the board.
Right. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Allison seconded. Okay, there are only 5 of us, so all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
5-0.
I have a question. You voted on this already, but you'll send me the paperwork that says this has officially been approved.
Yeah, we'll do it I don't know with Thanksgiving and everything, I don't know if there's.
How long would the permit be valid for?
2 years.
2 years. And if I did sell the property as is, would the next owner have that permit available to them?
It runs with the land, yes.
It runs with the land, okay. Are there any questions? I'm not asking that I should be.
I mean, given that you testified that it's an unsafe condition, you should move forward with the demolition as rapidly as you can. There are a couple of contractors who do demolitions. I can look and get you their contact information.
I would appreciate that. I think you probably have my email address.
Yes, I do.
And I know that the car wash across the street is Deconstruct Works is taking that apart. You know, I don't know who else in the area, but I'm assuming I'm gonna need I did asbestos remediation before my son moved in, and that cost a pretty penny. But I think that a more in-depth asbestos remediation might be required, another set of testing, because they couldn't go underneath all the flooring and everything. So it might take some time to be able to get all that done.
Yeah, the demolition contractors could make an assessment whether they thought there was
Yeah,
likely to be asbestos that needed remediation. I
Yeah,
think sometimes just dust control during demolition is sufficient, but
okay.
I think that's where their materials are intact and not going to become.
Okay. Anything else?
good luck.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you back.
Yes, you will. Well, I hope you will. We'll see how things go.
Okay, moving on to 2023-129, Wesley Babb and Stacy
Salpietro-Babb. It was close. Closer than most people get.
request for conditional use approval of the construction enclosure and keep a rehabbed Raven at 31 Christie Lane. That's your neighborhood.
It is.
Okay, so talk to us about what you want to do.
Well, I'm a volunteer at the Southern Vermont Natural History Museum, and we're rehoming the birds and the creatures to different places, and we're requesting to foster a raven that I've been working with for about 7 years at my house, so that we can have our volunteer program continue to work with the raven, and we can hopefully get her trained to do outreach education with the museum with closer contact.
Any questions?
Yeah, would you do the, work with the raven and the visitors at your house?
No, the way that it'll work is the volunteers will still come in and work with the raven. Eventually, we'd love to get her trained to go do the outreach programs that we do, but no, there won't be any foot traffic coming up to our house other than the volunteers that have been working with her.
So was the raven injured? Is that?
Yeah, she's a non-releasable raven, so she has an injury that keeps her from being released. So she's been living at the museum now for 6 years, I believe, and we've been working with her there, and she's kind of a popular creature from the museum, actually. Well known online.
Okay, what's her name?
Her name is Remy, which means little raven.
Remy.
Remy the raven.
So, are you familiar with the Migratory Bird Act? And you have there's a waiver, I understand, that you would need.
That's where. Well, this is Mike from the museum, so he's been speaking with the USDA.
Can you come up to the mic and identify yourself?
Sure. My name is Mike Pluff. I'm the managing director at the museum. And in answer to your question, we're permitted with Federal Fish and Wildlife and USDA. Both agents, both of those organizations have been notified about this move. And as soon as the enclosure is built, they just want it, before they put it in a permit, they want to see the actual enclosure. But we have from John Card at Vermont Fish and Wildlife and Sarah Tobias with USDA, they're both totally on board with it.
Okay, good. Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know, you need a permit to have migratory birds as pets or keep them in.
Are they migratory ravens?
They're on the list.
They're on the list, but no, they're not.
Oh, they're
They're covered by it.
Well, they're migratory, not from here, but
Yeah,
from other
other
places.
places,
yes.
right.
No, and I know there was some question about possible noise, but I don't think the raven is gonna be any noisier than the crows that live around my neighborhood.
Yeah, and
Or-
we have actually wild ravens in the neighborhood, so we're all pretty used to the sounds of ravens. They're not all that loud.
No, they aren't.
Quieter than crows. It's a.
No, the crows have conversations.
Oh yeah.
Very.
Yep.
And about the noise, apparently, if it were to be measured, it's a 15-minute average of noise. So something like a bird, I think, would have such an intermittent amount of
Yeah,
noise.
they're not, I don't think a raven's gonna be noisy for 15 minutes.
Right.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Especially only one bird too.
Yeah. Members of the public, anybody else want to speak?
Sure. I'm Jenny LaPlante and I live at 237 Hillcrest Terrace. My lot is sort of kitty corner to Stacy's. I can almost see her house from my back deck. And I just wanted to add that I'm thrilled at the prospect of having this enclosure there. And I mean, I just the other day sent her a clip of a raven that I heard in the neighborhood. I hear ravens frequently. I can differentiate them from the crows, and it is a very low kind of croaking noise. The crows are much louder. I love both, but I just wanted to add that I have no reservations about them building this habitat, and I'm quite proud to know that Remy will be fostered nearby. So that's my input.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions from the other members of the board? Allison?
No, I don't have any. You mentioned it was temporary. I was just wondering if there was a scope on the temporary.
Do we have a scope on the temporary? I don't mean to look.
I'm just curious, not more than anything.
Looks like it might.
Yeah, I'm calling on Mike for this.
All right, I guess I can kind of answer that. So the museum right now is kind of retooling kind of how we do business. Next step, once we're kind of stabilized, is a capital campaign to build a new museum. Once that's completed, that's when Remy would come back to be a public exhibit animal.
Okay, thank you.
So I was looking up how long ravens live, And
A long
they said
time.
in captivity, they could live 30 to 40 years.
Yeah.
So do you plan to be there that long?
I mean,
We have
it's,
a new museum built before that.
yeah, I know. We hope the capital campaign goes better than that. We'll be there for quite some time, but yeah, I don't know about 40 years.
You're not gonna leave it or
No,
give it
no,
to
no.
the Humane Society?
We would not leave Remy.
Catherine, did you have any questions?
No, I don't.
So we have to give conditional use approval for her to keep a raven? Is that
Or build a structure.
to build a structure and to keep a raven? Is there a motion to do that?
Go ahead.
Motion that we give conditional use waiver. is that right?
Approval.
Just
Approval
approval.
to build the structure and house the raven.
Second.
There's been a motion to provide conditional use approval to build an enclosure and keep a rehabbed raven at 31 Christie Lane. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 So it's 5-0. Is there any other, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, for your time.
You will get a letter.
Okay.
Is there any other business that anybody
Before you
wants to bring?
I just showed them what's in the neighborhood.
Oh,
Yeah.
she wants to show you something.
Yeah, I live on Hillcrest,
Oh.
so,
That's where we walk our puppy.
yeah,
That's
I
where
know,
our dog
I've
is.
seen you.
So is there any other official business to come before the board? Catherine?
I just wanted to let Brian know that I never got my packet,
In my yard right now.
Probably get it tomorrow, I bet.
probably.
I didn't get three.
So, sorry about that, Catherine.
Oh, that's okay. I'm here.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn?
My second?
All those in favor? I don't think we have to vote on a motion to adjourn, but let's vote.
Okay.
We're gonna adjourn.